How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of
Ghost of Frankenstein.
My son, would you destroy that which I, your father, dedicated his life to creating? What if it had another brain?
Whose brain?
Your brain.
Power! What good is a brain without eyes to see?
I warned you that you might regret this action.
Well, we've warned you.
You've been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast that dissects the Universal Frankenstein film series minute by minute. I'm Bill Evenson. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it. Covered all the bases.
Who cares?
Except that I'm Thom Lang, and you join us for minute 19 of... I got to find that and sample it in.
Yes, please. Find the original and then just sample that.
Yeah, without the music.
Without the music.
You joins for All New Thrills, the Ghost of Frankenstein.
No, it's happening again.
Minute 19, where Igor wonders what the law can do to the monster.
That's true. He said
it's a
law.
good law. What can the law do to him?
Yeah, both Igor and the monster have a history of not being particularly put out by the law.
No.
Igor was found guilty and hanged, and it turned out fine.
Turned out just fine.
It's not a big deal.
Maybe it worked out in his favor because they couldn't prosecute him again.
Yeah, apparently. And the monster has been put in chains before, and it's usually pretty hilarious. Usually somebody gets hurt and it's not him.
Right.
So yeah, what can the law do to him?
You think you can keep him in jail?
Is that the next thing he says? Yeah.
Which is obviously not.
Apparently not, yeah.
We've seen it.
And we'll just have to see how well that works out.
Right, yeah. Then he says a line that I find very odd.
You might even call it a Frankenstein minute flub.
The sound of the ironic trumpet is, he is more dangerous today than he ever was before. Which
well, sure. That's perfect.
Okay.
I'm totally fine with that. He got zapped by the lightning. Full strength, we're good.
Okay, that's fine, but the next line...
I didn't see the next line. I stopped watching the movie after 19 minutes and 10 seconds.
Besides his sick brain, he has a sick body.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, see? This is my point.
Which is it?
Yeah,
Is there some way that someone could be more dangerous with both a sick brain and a sick body? And obviously, in our modern world, there's lots of ways you can picture this. You could picture someone being virtually completely incapacitated, a la Stephen Hawking, and riling up January 6th protesters on the internet or something.
Sure.
Or just any sort of propagating of propaganda or racist
inciting
shit.
Some kind of
insight. Yeah. However, you got a mute, blank-faced, drunk...
stumbling around
into the geese. So excuse me. It's a contradiction to be sure. And again, this week's Frankenstein Minute Flub brought to you by America's Funniest Videos, formerly known as America's Favorite Home Video.
Booger and the T-Man on the nines with the Frankenstein Flub.
Yep, there you go. It's the Frankenstein Minute Morning Show.
Oh, God. I got to add in
I'm Thom.
all kinds of stupid sound effects. And
that's right.
The sound bites.
We're going to fill this episode with sound effects. That wasn't me just now, what Thom did.
Yeah,
that was
to put a cart in of that, yeah.
Yes.
I imagine that's all digital.
Did we do, by the way, I don't know when to put this in, so...
let's do it.
Sound of the doorbell can only mean one thing. It's time for Bill's Visitor Update.
Or the cable guy is here to fix our...
That could mean that the cable guy's here, but he's not. So it's time for Bill's Visitor Update. Elsa is still safely unaware of the visitor.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Martha, presumably, is holding her down.
True to her word.
She's blocking the door. She's got her chained up at the
headlock
at the station. I almost said gas station, but you know.
Hey, why not? What makes Igor think that he's more dangerous? Is he just blowing smoke up Ludwig's ass to scare him?
Yes. It's the only thing that makes any sense because, well, it doesn't make sense anyway.
Because then he contradicts himself in the next line.
Yeah. So, there's no getting around it. There's no, and we've spent time thinking about it separately, and now we're coming together to talk about it. I can't, like I said, the only thing I can think of is if you're riling somebody up, you've got a sick brain and a sick body. Like the actual, okay, so I'll say this. I can be somewhat dangerous if I have a sick brain and a sick body. It can make me cranky, and I can have a tendency to lash out.
Yeah,
Someone tries to say, "Are you okay?" I'm fine. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that fucking guy. maybe, I guess, is more likely to tear the building down.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. But
there's really no getting around it. It's a Frankenstein Minute Flub.
That's right.
No.
Enter that into
Trademark.
the books.
Well, we're going to sell the T-shirts. Actually, someone is more likely selling T-shirts already
other than us.
On a formerly
a
former website that we used to sell stuff at. Now you can get it probably cheaper, and we don't get any money because we've been canceled.
Yep. Can you make him well, Frankenstein?
Is that the next thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Because then he says,
well, how?
What can I do?
What can I do?
Yeah.
You can, here's what you can do. You can harness the lightning.
Yep, as your father did.
As your father did.
Yeah.
Pour life into his hungry veins.
I think Igor is a poet, and I think it's really cool that we've got...
He's a warrior poet in the classic sense.
Is that the filmmakers are fortunate to have a character like Igor that can say shit like this, and you're like, yeah, Igor would totally say that.
Yeah.
Pour life into his hungry veins.
Yeah.
Is that what he did? They pour
life into his
pour it into his veins. How
yeah.
do you pour something into somebody's veins?
That would be intravenous lightning.
Well,
transfusion.
that's not pouring unless you're pouring into, like, you've got so you've got life. Like you do in a
jug or a pitcher.
A pitcher, perfect.
Although jug sounds funnier.
And you've got an IV into the monster's hungry veins
with a giant funnel,
a big funnel that you can just pour it in.
Pour the lightning.
Pour the life.
Yeah, I will.
And then give him back the strength he once had. So clearly, not strong.
Not as dangerous.
Although he was he's dangerous, but not strong.
Okay, right.
Dangerous but sick and not strong.
Yeah.
Will you do it, Frankenstein? This is another line that I think Bela delivers incorrectly, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
Because
how should he say it?
If I remember right, he says it off screen.
Yes.
So I can't tell you what he looks like, but he sounds like he's begging, like he's pleading.
Will you do it,
Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Will you please
do it, Frankenstein? It doesn't match. It doesn't have the emphasis that the previous lines
and that
the sense of
he could do,
the sense of menace to it.
Totally could do it with menace. He could be, will you do it, Frankenstein? He can do anything.
Yeah.
And he chooses, will you do it, Frankenstein?
It does appear to be post-dubbed because of the cutaway, and in the script, the scene is longer. Igor actually references Wolf a few times in the scene in the script. I'm not going to read it back, but I'd forgotten that part. It's basically then it's reiterated by Ludwig, so they were wise to cut it out because it's basically the same thing.
Okay, the same thing he's about to say.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Which is, do you have it? What he says?
No, you go.
Oh, ever since the day my father put life into that creature, it has been a curse.
I gotta say, by way of comment at some point in here, Hardwick is better in this scene than maybe any other scene in the movie. I think he really does
the tragedy
a little bit. Yeah, he's a little bit on the spot, and Igor is pushing his buttons, and he's getting a bit of a reaction from him. Like one of the things he's doing as he's talking is this weird shit with his hands.
He's wringing his hands.
He's wringing his hands, but he's doing doing a beat. He's doing all kinds of crazy shit with his fingers. He's not just wringing his hands.
No,
he's not just like squeezing
he's
him.
Like
he's actually, I don't know what he's doing. He looks like he might have a
cupping the other fingers.
He's rolling a thing. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's rolling a booger. I think
Kane Mutiny. He's rolling the little silver balls like Humphrey Bogart.
There you go. Just like Humphrey Bogart in the Kane Mutiny with the silver balls. I didn't see it yet. No, I'm working. We're going to go see that later today.
Are you?
Actually, I have tickets to see two movies that Jackie and I are going for today. We're going to see American Graffiti, and I'm sure that'll be fun.
I wanted to go to that, but it just didn't work out.
But I'm actually bringing her to see They Live, which is a terrible idea, and I'll live to regret it.
I want a full report on how much she hated that.
Yep.
But I don't know how anybody could hate American Graffiti.
Right. I can't imagine I'll lose on that.
No, that's if you're going to see a George Lucas movie.
Yeah, if you're going to bring
a date to a George Lucas movie, that would be the one to bring a date to. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to go, but had conflicts and such.
They never show them when you want to see them.
No. Yeah, the consequences of it: killed his father and drove his brother.
The terrible consequences of his creation. He killed my father and drove my brother into exile. So he killed your father? Is that what happened?
That's what he says. But
well, I mean, if we don't just use the original ending of the first film, then you're not born. So that doesn't work.
If you use the original ending of the second film,
well, that's true too. Yeah,
he's not born either.
He's not born either. Although she could have been pregnant with twins, I guess. That's what we're going
Seems
with.
unlikely because she was supposed to die as well.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, wait, was she?
Yeah.
She made it back in time to get killed?
Originally, and this is disputed.
Oh, right.
This is disputed, but it's supposed to be her heart.
She was going to be the bride. Yeah,
the bride, which I think makes sense, but it's disputed whether that was ever intended or not.
Even going to attempt to pull that one off. Yeah.
It does seem
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom style, just rip the heart out.
Well, or Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, they do that.
They do that actually as part of the plot,
and it's ludicrous.
So somebody posted that film, a fan edit of that film, where they just cut out that part, and they said that's it. That's really it. Now it's just like the novel now. I think that's stretching it a bit.
No, not really, because there's a few I could go on about it, but I won't.
Well, I mean, is it stretching it to say that it now is the novel?
No. It is stretching it. It's not.
It is. You agree? Yes, it is stretching it. It's not the novel.
Exactly. Yes.
But somebody did the same thing with Bram Stoker's Dracula. They pulled out one.
Well, if you pull out the prologue and the subplot of it, Mina being the reincarnation of.
Yeah. Pull that out.
Pull that out because that comes from the Mummy.
I suppose it
basically
does.
And it's certainly not in the novel. But I have to say, it is one of my favorite Dracula films.
It's just a fun movie for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool visual effects going on in that. You watch the making of that movie, the first time you see that making of that movie, you're like, oh my God.
Yep.
That's how they did that. Coppola really was a fan of film and
Yep. There is a few computer things in there, but very few.
Yeah.
He used what he would call naive special effects, which date back to the silent era. Very simple things like turn the camera upside down.
Yeah.
Or run the film backwards and play with the shadows, and it's a very rich visual film.
Yeah, I think so. I think Oldman's great.
Oldman's great.
And Winona Ryder can't fail. She's not.
Yeah,
she's
I
fine.
could watch her sit still in a chair for an hour and a half.
Sadly, what happens here? No, not really.
No. All right.
So we killed your father. So was his father Henry? Because maybe he's was his father maybe Waldman? Right? Definitely killed his father, or Fritz.
Fritz
could have been Fritz.
Could have been
Safer Tits.
Yeah.
Gee,
thank you.
Couldn't
bring it up.
No, in all of these examples, we're suggesting that one or more of these people had sex with Elizabeth.
Yes.
Okay, and presumably consensually, because that's how I like to think of it.
I really prefer to not think of the alternative.
No, that's even worse. Not that it wasn't bad enough already.
Yeah. No, let's not make it worse than it already is.
You're going to hear my Safer Tits impression? No. No one wants to hear that. And drove my brother into exile. So
that's what those cheering people were doing at the end of the sun. Sending him off to exile, all happy and cheerful.
Look, Ludwig, I don't know what Wolf told you, or Igor for that matter, but it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It seemed downright celebratory, in fact. As a man being driven into exile, you've never seen
cheerful. I've never seen him
cheerful about it. Yeah. That's the happiest he was in the whole film.
That's the happiest Rathbone has been in his entire career.
Probably right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Although, by all accounts, off camera, he was a very jovial and friendly man.
In fact, last week you mentioned, was it last week or the week before? Probably the week before, you mentioned, and I forgot to bring this up, Evelyn Ankers' husband. There's a story in that Mank book of Rathbone telling a obscene joke to Ankers about her husband. When would he have worked with her? Oh, she was in all those Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Apparently, he said something about her husband having an enormous Schwanzstucker, and I'm like, I had to look around, like, what? Who's even her? What is going on? So I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyways,
I don't know if that's true.
Those are the kind of stories you hear about him. You don't hear bad things about him.
No, you don't. Apparently, their parties were the social event of the season. Every project he worked on, I've heard he was just super hyped about it, no matter how bad it was. Even at the very end, when he's doing shit like, Hillbillies in a Haunted House or Queen of Blood, he was still, this is going to be great. This is going to be so fantastic.
Yep.
And you don't get that often from his screen persona.
Right. And that's what
although
makes
there's moments in the Sherlock Holmes films where he's clearly having fun.
Yeah.
He's clearly enjoying himself.
The one that comes to mind for me is Hound of the Baskervilles, where he actually gets to wear the...
Oh, he's disguised as
he's having a good time there.
Yeah. He did, actually, that happens fairly frequently in those. He disguises himself a number of times.
Okay. I forgot what I was going to say now.
Anyway, but
wasn't that bad? Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say about Rathbone there.
The monster shall not ruin my life.
So first of all, he kind of slurs it. I don't know if Hardwick has been drinking, but he's like, monster shall not ruin my life.
I don't think he's been drinking. I think it's just how he talks.
That sounded like he came from behind me that time. I'm like,
it's bouncing off the glass.
Snuck down here.
Bouncing off the glass.
The monster should not ruin my life. Then there's this really strange thing.
It's a really weird cutaway,
it's
right?
It's a weird cutaway. Igor laughing.
That's
fucking great. I love it.
That's what you think, buddy.
It's awesome when you see that. The monster should not ruin my life.
Guess again.
He doesn't make a sound, but it's a cutaway to him laughing. It's hilarious.
So unmotivated, but it's great.
It's awesome, because it's Igor. Yeah, he could totally do that.
Yeah, if it's anybody else, they cut to
somebody laughing. They cut to Bellamy laughing.
Like, oh, asshole! What's it?
Fuck you!
Not funny.
Yeah,
but Igor finding it hilarious. That works totally.
It is. It's great. Yeah. I'm happy here. I have a lovely daughter. Friends like Bomer. He's a great friend of mine.
Yes.
Dr. Kettering.
Kettering.
Bomer.
We go out every Friday.
Eric comes over and plays chess. Actually, that's in the script.
It is,
in that last week. It was one of the things that got cut out. Which I think would actually add to it a bit, because she does say, you have a visitor, Father, and he says, a most welcome one too. So he likes Eric.
He does like Eric.
But the little touch of him coming for dinner and chess, I think would add a little bit to that.
It's a cute, he does say happy here, and he emphasizes here.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, good point.
So clearly is unhappy in Frankenstein.
Let's get the monster. Let's find a kick-ass abandoned watchtower outside of Goldstadt. Let's get this done.
Let's get this going. Yeah, let's get this party started.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. You're right. He definitely says, I'm happy here. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so don't fuck with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I did pick up on that side of it, which is to say I don't want to be involved in all of that. I'm happy here.
I'm not going into the family business.
And he's also, again, a bit more awake while he's talking to Igor. Igor really touches something in him.
Well, he obviously struck a nerve,
Yeah, he's reacting to the things Igor is saying, but he barely looks at him. He's just stoked to get his mitts on that monster. It's clearly like, he says, will you do it, Frankenstein? And instead of him, everything he's saying and everything we know about him to this point, you could totally see him just going, no, get the fuck out of here.
Get out of my fucking house.
He's like, the monster's about nothing but... And he's got his thing with his fingers, and he doesn't look at him, and he's walking around, and he's like, but what about Elsa, and what about Bomer, and what about Kettering, and what about Martha? I have Martha.
What about Eric?
We're
going to leave Martha out of this.
What would Martha think?
And he also does not reference Elsa's mother. It's another instance of the mother being absent
I've got a daughter
in the Frankenstein universe, all the way back to Mary.
Right.
The mother is always an absent figure.
Not always. Donnie has a mom.
Well, okay, but they never talk about Elizabeth in Son.
Right.
I don't think she's even mentioned once.
Right. And yet Henry is multiple.
There's a fucking 12-foot tall painting of him. Yeah.
There's no
getting around it.
There's no Elsa in the background of that one.
No. Yeah. So it continues that weird.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah.
And in Frankenstein they barely reference Henry's mother.
Yeah, right.
Reference once about, I put this on your mother's head at our wedding, and that's about the only reference.
And his grandmother gets a nice
shout out.
Similar to Wait Till You Married. Your grandmother said I couldn't have any of this for grandma. I guess Hardwick could be
Frederick
Kerr's grandson, right? Grandson?
Yeah, grandson. Yeah.
Clearly, Ludwig is giving him too much away. He's spilling the beans about how this is. Like I said, if he would have said no, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But instead, he's like, well, but I couldn't, and here's a list of reasons why I can't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's obvious he can't wait to do it.
They know nothing of this.
And
Igor does it sure be a shame if something were to happen to this great life you have here.
Igor knows how to talk to the Frankenstein boys.
He knows how to push their buttons.
He knows how to push their buttons.
Yeah.
He knows them better than they know themselves.
Yeah, well, absolutely does.
After Ludwig spills too much, that's when Igor's like, got it. Thank you. You gave me my ammunition I need to finish this job.
Absolutely.
And he does it excellent.
He does it. It is perfect Igor.
Exceptionally.
Yeah, you wouldn't want me to tell them that you are the son of the
Frank. I think he says Frank.
Son of Frit.
Yeah, something like that. Yep, that's the end of that deal.
Yep, that's the end.
All right.
That's the name of that tune, as Beretta used to say.
Is that what Beretta used to say before he started becoming? Before he became a murderer?
Yeah, I think it is. Got any more questions, wise ass?
That sound of the
music
and
shouting is.
Sound of Music and Shouting by Robert Wise. Yeah. One of his better one of his shouting pictures.
Academy Award winning. So both of those films.
Christopher Plummer was just doing the shouting.
Didn't The Sound of Music and West Side Story, didn't they both win Best Picture, I think?
That sounds about right. Yeah. I don't know from West Side Story.
So he's, I don't know if he was ever won as a director, but he must have.
For Star Trek?
Star Trek, the emotion picture, or the emotionless. Yeah, I have. It's much improved.
Okay. The sound of that,
whatever it was,
of
cacophony of
noise and nonsense, can only mean one thing. It's time for Got Any More Questions, Wise Ass, brought to you by Patreon. If you join our Patreon, you have the opportunity to support the podcast you know and love more so than I can only one of the top two ways you can support this podcast. Number one, in my personal opinion, is Patreon. Number two is reporting us to YouTube. That's what people seem to like to do. So anyways,
although I look at YouTube to see how many views.
Yeah.
And the one that dropped yesterday had 30-some views already.
Yeah, we're getting some. We're finally getting.
It's growing a little bit.
It's growing a little bit. Everything's growing.
Yeah.
But just very, very slowly. It's there's no bad news to report unless you consider it bad news the fact that the dozens of people that are even aware this podcast exists haven't. Well, no, actually, this is good news. They haven't gone away. We have not shrunk. You could see where we might. Like someone might go, "Oh, that's an interesting idea." Listen for 2 weeks and go, "Fuck these guys,
idiots! Don't know what the fuck they're talking about."
And Tom Weaver, for example, I think he listened to about 10 seconds of the first one.
Dipshits. Doesn't even know that Dr. X and Mystery of the Wax Museum weren't Paramount films.
Paramount films. Chuck from Winnipeg comments, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Got that. That one's done. Mark that off the list. And let's see, what else have we got? Oh, Rick from the Classic Horror Film
Another
Board.
8-paragraph.
Let's see, maybe.
That's not a criticism.
No.
He has very, very astute points that he's making.
This is a lot. Oh, actually, we skip with Chapter 4, I Got Nothing. Chapter 5, Fun Again. I agree that die is a terrific thing to say to someone you don't care for. Reminds me of a great line from Broadcast News. The slimy executive just fired a guy and says to him, "If there's anything I can do for you," and the guy says, "Well, I certainly hope you die soon." I haven't even seen that movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Chapter 6, a fun episode. Glad to find Tom once again riffling through IMDb's filmography for Chaney. I always enjoy these little trips down movie memory lane. Now, you'll remember, you one time announced you weren't doing this anymore because you said people are sick of it. And I'm like, who said that? And you said, I don't know. You just assume people I think you're sick of it. And everybody else loves it.
Okay.
So that's just at least one vote other than me for keep it up.
I am glad it's enjoyed then. Good.
However, I'm pretty sure that Dracula vs. Frankenstein wasn't Chaney's last role. Another Al Adamson epic, The Female Bunch, provided Chaney's true last role, I think.
I'm not sure. I know there's some controversy about which was filmed first and which was released first. So
and then you look at those. It's like those Karloff Mexican films.
Yeah.
You just say all 4 of them are the last films because
basically.
You have no idea when they filmed what. It took him years to come out, though.
Yeah, it did. I mean, he was long dead when they came out.
And he must have filmed all his parts in, was it 6 weeks or something crazy
Not
like
even
that?
a couple weeks.
Yeah,
in a soundstage in L.A.
So
and he didn't even live in Los Angeles at the time.
To be honest, it's an impressive achievement. I keep going back to these Karloff Mexican films, but it's actually, once you actually watch them, it's an impressive achievement when you look at how those were made. That they're all pretty good. I think one was bad.
Like we talked about at the time, and we've referenced since, that I had always assumed these were going to be sub Ed Wood quality because that's how they were presented in every book, in every Famous Monsters article. Well, not so much Famous Monsters, they never really
trashed
anything.
All right. I also love Son of Dracula. Oh, I'm going on.
Oh, no.
I love Son of Dracula. I used to think The Wolfman was the best Universal of the 40s, but now I've come around to Son of Dracula.
Absolutely. You know what? I can't disagree at all.
But unlike y'all... Oh, go ahead.
No, we just watched it a few weeks back, and it
holds up.
It's great. Well, it's got that noirish quality that...
Sure.
Of course, then Robert...
It's got real atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah. Robert Siodmak then became famous for directing really good film noir movies.
Yeah.
So
is that the one that has both Siodmaks on the credits?
Yeah,
but they never spoke.
They never. Yeah, well, supposedly Robert had Kurt fired from it and brought in Eric Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm remembering this now.
And then of course, Kurt is late in life being typical Kurt Siodmak and praises him and then trashes him in the same sentence.
It sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, because they think he pretty much trashed everybody.
Okay. He says, but unlike y'all, I still think Chaney is the weak link in the film. As for his
I'm not saying
physicality in the role, well, yeah, I guess. But do we need that? Dracula's a supernatural creature. No need for bulk and physical power.
I disagree with that.
To me, Chaney's Dracula is especially weak in all the important ways. Right at the beginning, when seeking entry to Dark Oaks, he practically screams, "Announce me." Hey, chill, dude. You got all that magic and hypnotism and charisma going for you. Anyways, okay. Once again, I am in agreement with Thom.
Well, thank you.
You'll like this. My favorite brunette is definitely one of the best of all Bob Hope's films, with Chaney and Peter Lorre making a wonderful pair.
Yep.
We got to watch this,
Absolutely.
but it should also be noted that here again, Chaney's doing a Lenny.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
But he's having fun spoofing that.
Okay.
That aspect.
I gotta watch it. I don't have.
Yeah, he is in on the joke for sure.
Good. As for his name, I call him Creighton. I know this can sound kind of precious, but it's also preferable to me to constantly having to point out which Chaney one's referring to.
Absolutely, yeah.
The Lonster or Petui Jr. It also feels like a kindness toward the guy to use the name he was born with, the name he
preferred, yes.
And then here, now I get a mention.
Okay.
I'm always surprised with the movies Bill hasn't seen. Of Mice and Men, now I have good news. I've seen Of Mice and Men.
Did you finally watch that?
Yeah, I think Mike Herman
sent a link to it.
Sent a link to it, and I didn't follow, but I found it somewhere and guilted me into it. Like,
of course,
it was long overdue, and he is great in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had no idea that Burgess Meredith was even in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had no idea. So that was really fun.
It was on stage. It was Wallace Ford who ended up being in The Mummy's Hand and The Mummy's Tomb.
Okay. Oh, and then he says, High Noon? You got to get on that, sir. I haven't seen High Noon. I've had it on disc forever. Well, to me, I think
it's an audio podcast, so you can't see the face I'm making.
Yeah.
And
it's unfortunate to me that I haven't spent more time on westerns and samurai films generally. I think I could watch those
I agree
all day,
up to a point. I mean, most westerns from the 30s and 40s are indistinguishable from one another.
Yeah.
There are a lot of standouts. Stagecoach being one, High Noon being another, and by the time you get into the 50s, they're starting to deconstruct.
Yeah, those I've seen more of those, I think.
Yeah, and I've seen far more spaghetti westerns than I have Hollywood westerns.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
They're more to my liking.
Yeah.
But I also found out that not everybody is Sergio Leone, and not every spaghetti western is Once Upon a Time in the West. So.
Right. Well, that's something that I thought was interesting when the Red Letter Media did their review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because that's what he does. The character. Have you seen the movie?
No.
Oh. Leo's character is a bit on the skids. He's an actor that used to be on a Western TV show, and now it doesn't matter. But he's forced to make these spaghetti westerns, and he says, everybody hates those movies. They're terrible. And the guy from Red Letter Media says, yeah, I've seen a lot of them. They're terrible. Yeah. So that to me was actually a revelation. Because the height of those movies are some of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah. There's five.
There's 5 greats.
5 outstanding
spaghetti westerns.
Finest films ever. Yes.
5. Okay, so you got your Man with No Name.
Well, you got Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West, and My Name Is Nobody, which he produced it. It's Henry Fonda and Terrence Hill.
Okay.
I can't remember his real name.
Another one I haven't seen, Rick.
But it's credited to a different director, but you can't tell me that it's a Howard Hawks, Christian Nyby thing from another world situation where so much of it just screams Sergio Leone that he either directed it on the sly or was just there like, no, why don't you do this instead? to the actual director.
Right. Actually, you know what you just reminded me of? I finally found a link to a pirated copy of the extended version of Journey into Fear.
Is that right?
Which is generally considered to be an Orson Welles film, although Orson was very insistent that it isn't. Yes. He was very insistent.
I know he was, but I think he doth protest a little too much. And it very much looks like an Orson Welles.
Are you aware that for decades, when they showed that movie on TV in Britain, it's fucking got 10 minutes that's not in our version?
Yeah.
But I've still never fucking seen it.
Yeah.
And I found a link to it, but the link was dead.
Oh.
Oh, do you have a copy of the extended version?
I thought I did. It was probably on VHS though.
Okay.
Or Laserdisc, I don't know. Anyway.
So there you go. You got to get on that, sir. As it is, all these unseen movies make it seem as if you might just have a life. You don't want people to start thinking that.
Oh, heavens no.
I got to say this one. You know, when the monster is chipped out of the plaster, returns to life, and we see it isn't Boris Karloff, they missed a bet. Maybe he missed a bet. The monster should have brushed off some of the dust and said, "This never happened to the other fella."
Ah, there we go. Nice. Love it.
And then Witch 2 responds to the Chaney part in Son of Dracula and agrees. He says, bingo. It's like some artists through the years who have given Soups a look like Ferrigno or Schwarzenegger. And he needs that build. Why?
Yeah,
if anything,
I agree
his
with
innate
that.
tremendous strength would factor against overdeveloped musculature.
I absolutely agree with that.
Okay. All right.
I think like Christopher Reeve looks perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
As Superman.
Yeah. He's in decent shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he can lift a fucking building.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Our theme music, as always, brought to you by Jacob Walsh.
Yep.
Is that what we think his name is? Is that the kid that went missing?
Well, we know where he is.
Him.
We found him. He's composing music for this podcast.
Wow, we're going to be done. Oh,
no,
actually,
we got to
rush.
Yep.